I can't believe we're going to be parents of two. We were really surprised to find out we were pregnant when we were. Like, we were not prepared at all. Eran's just like, oh, I could see us having like 8 to 10 kids.
I didn't say 10 kids. Maybe we get twins. You never know.
I don't think anybody is really ready to have a kid. You get thrown into it and then you just make it happen. You make it work.
Yeah. When you become a parent, you're becoming selfless. All your dedication is not about you anymore. It's about your kid.
I ended up injuring my tailbone. Most people don't know I wasn't able to sit for like 3-4 months properly.
It was very difficult.
I had to learn to breastfeed lying down. It's not just me being pregnant. We're pregnant.
I feel pregnant too.
Hey babes.
What's up?
It's Haley.
And
welcome back to the Hey Babes podcast. I feel like we're getting much better at these intros every time.
5 takes. Not sure.
But we are so excited to get into today's topic. But before we get into it, if you guys are watching right now on YouTube, we would really, really love it if you subscribe to our channel. You guys, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, which is insanely amazing. Yes. If you're listening to this on audio, be sure to rate and let us know how you guys are liking the podcast.
What is it? Apple Podcasts, Spotify, rate, follow.
All that good
post
stuff.
Notifications, all that good stuff. We would really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, because we always forget to say that.
Yeah, we do it to the end and then people are like, oh, okay, peace.
Yeah, exactly. With that being said, let's go into what we want to talk about today. Big high five to me and Eran. We are officially in our last month of pregnancy. I say ours because it's a mutual thing. It's not just me being pregnant. We're pregnant.
I feel pregnant too.
Yeah. I kind of take it out all on him. I am feeling lots of heightened emotions right now, and I'm sure you are as well. Eran and I thought for today's video, we would go ahead and talk about kind of like our thought process of like how it feels for us to be having a second baby. Do we feel like we're ready? Because if you guys did watch our pregnancy announcement, we were really surprised to find out we were pregnant when we were. Like, we were not prepared at all.
We were trying, but at the same time, we didn't think it was going to be that quick because of our experience in the past.
Exactly. If you guys don't know our story in the past, we can definitely go into it in a future vlog or in a future podcast. But Eran and I did have some trouble conceiving Aliyah, and we did have a miscarriage in the past as well. So because of that, we just never expected to get pregnant as quickly as we did. And Eran, these 8 months, I don't know if it's just me, but it flew by.
I think it's because so much was going on this year, with especially when you move to a new country and everything, like new country, new place, new house, and she's experiencing daycare and so many things going on in our life. We
had no opportunity to settle down.
Like, not even settle down. And that's even what I said in the video. I remember. I'm like, we just settled down. Like, we just finally got settled and situated. Now we're pregnant.
Exactly. So there's a lot that we want to talk about today. Especially,
God keep us on our toes.
Yeah, definitely. But especially with kind of our emotions of how we are feeling with coping with having 2 kids, because I can't believe we're going to be parents of 2.
No, I don't say coping. I want to say coping necessarily, but it's kind of just coming to the realization that I think for me it's only going to hit me once it occurs.
Because you're the guy. I mean, I feel like with me, I already feel like I'm a mom of 2 because I feel her in my belly.
I felt the same way with Aliyah too. I didn't really feel like I knew I was a dad. I knew there was a child, our child in there, but I didn't really feel it because I don't feel the kicks only if I touch it, but I don't feel it on a daily basis until
you're not reminded of the fact
until I physically see her, and then she's in my hand. They're like, all right, Dad, you got to cut the umbilical cord, and I'm like, me? And yeah,
I know. It was very, very emotional when Aliyah was born, but I feel like that's kind of when it hits the dads more. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about our thought process through all of this. Yeah. Are we excited? Are we nervous?
I think, again, we have to kind of just, before Aliyah was born, as you guys know, we were trying to conceive for almost 2 years, and then when we finally conceived, we had an early miscarriage. But before we had Aliyah, our main priority was just us 2. That was our main thing. I worked, she worked.
We had our own routine. We were set in our own ways. We didn't really have to take into consideration another person.
We didn't have any responsibilities other than ourselves and each other, but mostly it was just us. If we were invited to go somewhere, we could go out with ease. Yeah. If we had an event, if we need to go to New York or whatever, we could just drop everything and go. We wouldn't have to worry about another human being.
Mm-hmm. And work was no problem as well, because even with me, I never had to think twice about having to film, because I always knew that I had the free time, and now I always have to kind of, as much as Aliyah is in daycare now, the fact that she was home with us for a full year, when you work from home and you have a child at home with you, I mean, it's not easy. 100%. I'm not saying it's easier.
I think you just learn time management at that point.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
You have no choice. That's what they say. I remember I heard a podcast, and they're like, if you want a task to get done, give it to a busy mom.
Yeah.
Like they will find a way to like maneuver everything and find the time and all that stuff. So
for sure,
I feel like we've definitely have learned time management skills with having Aaliyah.
So I will say, I feel like I'm a little bit nervous, not even so much for the fact of having 2 kids, but if you guys don't know, with Aaliyah, my pregnancy with her, I actually had a very, very challenging postpartum recovery. I ended up injuring my tailbone. She was positioned in a way that the labor was like a lot more difficult. I had kind of like back labor with it. I also didn't do an epidural, so like I really felt it all. I mean, no, I don't think that deserves however anybody gives birth is a great experience.
No, for sure. But listen, like first time to give birth, yeah, I witnessed it. Like I said in the past, like I have a whole different respect for Haley and women all over that give birth, especially natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So because of that, like I had that pain that most people don't know. I wasn't able to sit for like 3-4 months properly.
It was very difficult.
I had to learn to breastfeed lying down.
Yeah, it affected both of us because in the first like month or so, like we were strictly from what we understood, we would try to do everything just breastfed. And Haley couldn't feed Aaliyah because she couldn't come out of bed. She couldn't move. So sometimes people would say, "So why are you tired?" Like, yeah, we can understand why you're tired, but why are you waking up in the middle of the night? And I had to tell him because I had to wake up, pick Aaliyah up, give her to put her on Haley's bed, Haley feed her, and then I take her back, burp her, and put her to sleep because Haley couldn't do it by herself.
Yeah.
So it was a 2-person job because
I feel like
of how
it should
she got
be a
injured.
2-person job regardless. I mean,
yeah,
me and you
sure.
we did switch off the feedings at nights and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's going to be the hardest part for us to get back into. Just like
losing that sleep.
Just losing the sleep. And like, not only that, just, oh my gosh, do you remember our best friend was like our Apple Watch? We would set alarms on our Apple Watch every 3 hours to wake up because many people don't know you're actually supposed to wake a newborn up if they're sleeping. Like you don't let them sleep through the night.
You need to feed them.
You got to feed them every 3 hours. So like,
especially in our situation, Aaliyah was losing weight. Like in the first few days, it's normal for them to lose weight.
But she was losing
losing more and more and more. That's when we took upon ourselves. We're like, listen, we're going to feed a little bit of formula here and there because her weight wasn't going up.
Yeah, but I 100% suggest any new moms, I mean, you don't necessarily have to get an Apple Watch, but having an alarm on your arm was like so helpful for us.
It also didn't wake up Aaliyah when we slept because the thing is, if you have an alarm on your phone, it like scares the crap out of everybody. But when you have it on your watch, it just vibrates.
It didn't even wake you up. If I had to wake up and you didn't, like it was the best thing ever. But just the realization that we're going to be having to get into that, especially because thank God Aaliyah's like a really good sleeper now after all this time that we've had to train her. She's finally sleeping like, I want to say from like 7 to 7 pretty much.
Thank God.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God.
May it continue to be that way, please.
I mean, we obviously still have our off nights like everybody does, and it took a while for us to get to this point that she had like a consistent schedule. But like now, I think the biggest difference, Eran, is as much as it was hard having a newborn and getting on that like new sleep schedule and everything, all we had to think about was the baby.
Yeah,
first time around.
Like it was like, okay, we got 2-on-1. So I'm like, all right, you do this, I'll take care of her. All right, you got her, okay, we'll switch. And that's just literally how it was.
Sound?
I have no idea. Somebody decided to just do construction while we're filming this thing.
But honestly, I think that was like the craziest thing is like we just dedicated everything just to her. Yeah. And like we took some time off work. You took 2 weeks off. I took like a whole month off of YouTube, I remember, just to dedicate some time to her. But the fact that now we have to like think about somebody else as well. I really hope you guys can't hear all this noise on the podcast.
I really hope. Worst case, if you do, we're sorry, but hopefully you can. It'll stop very soon. Yeah.
But what are they doing?
I think they're taking like the branches and they're shoving to the machine. It's like grinding it up. It should take like a few minutes, but we're just crunched on time. That's
should we wait?
No, I think we can keep it going. We'll keep it going.
Okay, sorry if you guys can hear the noise in the background, but anyway, I think the craziest part is that now, like before, think about it, babe. When the baby was sleeping, I was sleeping. That was kind of like our thought process going through it, right? But now it's like, okay, the baby's sleeping. What if Aaliyah's not sleeping? You know what I mean? Like someone has to watch her, someone has to feed her, someone has to bathe her, someone has to take care of her. Like yeah, as much as we can switch off, like now our attention has to be on somebody else rather than just ourselves and the kid.
We also don't have as much, I feel like, help this time around because like not thank God Haley's mom and her aunt are going to be coming and they're going to be with us.
My mom, you guys, she bought a one-way ticket and she is not buying a ticket back until I decide she is ready to go back.
She's never gonna go back.
So I'm really excited. My mom and my aunt are coming. They're gonna be staying with us. I mean, I ordered her a ticket for like a couple days before I'm supposed to give birth. So I'm really hoping that I'm not gonna give birth before then, because she wasn't at my labor the first time.
No.
So I'm hoping that she'll get a chance to be in the hospital with me the second time with Eran also. But just the fact that we're going to have her here is going to be such a big help, because back when we lived in Toronto, like, we lived in our own house and it was kind of far. And it's not like I didn't feel like we needed the help. I feel like
no, we were fine because we had a good dynamic. We had a good dynamic
again, we didn't
on.
have anybody else to take care of except for the baby. So between me and you, we were good.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like my mom can
And on top of
her.
that, in the beginning, like, all babies really need is they just eat, sleep, change a diaper, and that's it. If they're crying, it's for one of those three. And in the beginning, I remember, like, after a month, like, when I started getting back into training, obviously at a certain point I kept this because, you know, there was still the pandemic going on, like, you have to be 6 feet apart or whatever. But I remember I would bring Aaliyah downstairs to my clients while she was sleeping.
Had the best work ethic. He had his clients. He would literally bring Aaliyah downstairs in her little bouncer.
Put her in a corner. I'd just watch her. Like, she's okay in the bassinet. My clients do their thing. We'd blast music, and Aaliyah would sleep through it no problem.
She loved the loud music.
So I don't know if we just trained her to be around noise, but, like, my clients were like, yo, this is the best. I'm like, yeah. So at least that way, Haley was able to rest and work while I had Aaliyah for like half the day, and only when she needs to be fed, I'd give her to Haley, she'd do her thing, and then bring her back down.
So we had some kind of rhythm. I think the thing that I'm nervous about the most is, like, I wonder how and if we'll be able to have a rhythm this time around because of the fact that we have Aaliyah.
I think we'll have a rhythm. The good news is that we have Aaliyah in daycare, where she's from daycare majority of the day, and thank God we put her to sleep relatively early, so like we have like 2 or 3 hours with her at home, and then she'll go to bed. Again, I don't think that's the thing. I don't know if we'll be ready, because even with Aaliyah, we weren't really ready. I
don't think anybody is really ready to have a kid. You get thrown into it, and then you just make it happen. You make it work.
Yeah. Like, do we have the essentials to handle it? Yes, we do. We have the experience, which I am grateful that we do have the experience with Aaliyah, because now we know more or less the do's and don'ts. But I don't think anybody's ever ready. And if there was like a pamphlet or a book that you can learn of how to do this or that, like, everybody would have it. But
on top of that, every child is so different also. What worked for one baby cannot work for another one.
100%. Not even that. Like, we thank God we had a very good baby. Like, Aaliyah was a very good baby.
She was the best, yeah.
She was the best. The only thing in the beginning, she was crying all the time. But even when we swaddled her, she was quiet.
She loved being
swaddled. But the thing is, because she was so comfortable, she didn't. But at the same time, she was hungry. She was so comfortable, she just forgot that she was hungry. But as soon as we would unswaddle her, she would cry like crazy. And it was only because she was hungry. So once we fed her formula for the first time, she got milk drunk the first time.
Milk drunk, I remember.
And she was just like passed
it was
out.
The best. It was the
and
best.
Then we just realized, like, wow, like, she just needs to be fed and taken care of. We just gotta make sure she's alive and breathing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's gonna happen now. Like, we're not really ready. Again, we have the tools to do it, but we're just gonna throw in. We didn't know you were gonna get injured.
Yeah, honestly.
I didn't think you were gonna be 3 months.
I feel like, one of the hardest things. I feel like, I don't want to say it would have been easier, but I feel like it would have been so much easier.
It would have been easier.
It would have been 100% easier. I'm hoping that this time around I won't get injured again.
Because you couldn't sit down. I remember Haley couldn't breastfeed sitting down.
Not only that, every single time I was downstairs on the main floor, every time I would see a chair or a couch, I would just start crying because I couldn't sit in it.
It was traumatic for even now. Like, I have like certain videos of the midwives that we have teaching us how to breastfeed. Gosh,
I remember.
Until now, every time Haley looks at that video, she just starts bawling.
Yeah,
because it just brings her back of how she felt in the moment.
There's specifically a video of, I remember when Aaliyah was like, I was having so much pain with breastfeeding, and I remember when my midwives came, they were kind of like trying to teach me how to latch her and stuff, and just like watching that video, it's very open because you can like see everything, but like just watching like how my body was and like watching my stress, I guess, like going through that, every time I see that video I start bawling. And I think the first time I found out I was pregnant and we looked through that video because we were just like reminiscing, I got so emotional and it really scared me. It really, really scared me because I just didn't want to have an experience like that again, you know? And I think what I learned from the previous pregnancy and the previous like birth experience is that I just needed to listen to myself, because I feel like the only time that parenthood and everything got easier is once Eran and I were starting to make decisions for ourselves rather than asking so many people for advice, which it's great to have, especially in the beginning, but I feel like sometimes getting more advice can confuse you rather than benefit you. And it was exhausting just hearing everybody telling me what I'm doing wrong.
Because they were just saying like, we know better. This it was just funny because both of the midwives, now that I think about it, they never had kids.
Yeah, that's true. They
so
didn't
that
have
and that was the
kids.
thing. And we had two midwives, and they weren't our original midwives. It was because the other ones got the
COVID,
vid,
yeah.
and then after that, we lost all the midwives that we had in contact with. So we had to get two brand new ones, and these women were not mothers. And I remember both of those midwives were busy, so we got the head midwife to come. And she was a mother of like 4. Mm-hmm. And then we told her the situation. And she's like, yeah, I don't know why you guys didn't just decide to do like formula off the bat. Like, are you crazy? Like, you need to keep your mental health sane. Like, if the mom is stressed and everything, because the kid will be stressed.
The original midwives that we had, they basically told me like they did everything by the book. They knew that breastfeeding was obviously ideal. So they were kind of trying to push it on me so much.
Yeah.
And kind of thought that like if I would introduce a bottle or introduce formula, then
she's not gonna
breastfeed.
And that was not the case at all.
It wasn't the case. She was happily like taking a bottle of pumped milk, taking a bottle of formula, at the same time eating for me. Like, we were able to manage it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the one takeaway that we had from last time that we would go into this time. If you guys are subscribed to my channel, I actually have an entire video of everything I would do differently this time around after having a baby. I feel like that's a very good video for any of you guys that are moms or soon to be moms. Mm-hmm. There's like so much that I learned, and I feel like I just kind of wanted to share obviously my perspective. But that being said, I feel like ultimately, what does this come down to? The fact that we're having a baby so close to Aaliyah's like not even being 2 years old, like, babe, we're gonna have 2 under 2.
I don't know. We're like
crazy to me.
It was like a 1-on-2, like, you know, 1v2, and like we're like, all right, we tag team or whatever. Now it's 2 against 2.
But they're both under 2. I can't imagine when it becomes
3 against 2.
Like, Aaliyah's not even potty trained yet. You know, like, there's so much that we still
by the way, we need to start potty training.
We gotta start.
Yeah. Comment down below what potty training tips you guys have for us.
Please, if you have any. But I'll tell you what, I think that throughout this entire experience, as much as we said, like, in the beginning, I felt like I wasn't really ready as soon as I found out. Like, it took me a second to sink in. Why did we decide to have another child so soon? Because
we
ultimately, I mean, with you, it's different. You grew up with siblings who were very close in age to you. Yeah. Guys, I have 2 older sisters, which I love them to death. We have a huge difference. We have 7 years apart and 10 years apart. So I actually never really had that experience of like growing up with a sibling. I always kind of felt like I was just learning from my older sisters. While Eran always has all these like amazing memories with his siblings because they're all like a year, 2 years apart.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you grow up with siblings, and like we were all like a year and a half apart. Like, I'm 95, my sister's 97, my brother's 99. And then my little sister Meita is like,
she's the loner.
like 2006. But because we all grew up so close in age, we have a lot of memories together. Yeah. Like, even now when we are together, I'm jealous of that. Yeah, when we're together on Sharp, like, oh, remember the time where, you know, we were jumping on the bed and we were pretending to be the crocodile hunter, and we were like croaking, we were taking the, you know, tiger and swinging at each other. And then the other time, my brother and I were talking about when me and my brother would like fight, and he kicked me one time in the knee. He kicked my knee and he fell on the floor crying.
Oh, really?
And my mom thought I hit him. She was chasing after me, trying to like hit me with her shoe. And then my brother was like crying on the floor, like, no, Mom, it was my fault, not his. And like, we had just have so many memories. And for sure it was hard for my parents, for sure, because there's so many stories.
Raising a bunch of kids like close in age is very difficult.
Yeah, and like it was so difficult, but the reward afterwards is priceless. To see like all your kids so close in age and have a relationship. Particularly like me and my siblings were all very close, because like now we're like all in a very similar stage of life. Yeah. And I've had people that I've talked to, and even my clients. I had one client that she has 3 kids, and she has like a 5 to 7 year gap between each kid. And she's like, one of my biggest regrets is that, number one, I had them too far apart, because now they're not so close. Like, maybe they'll be close as siblings when they're like in their 40s.
One is in preschool, one's in elementary school, one's in high school.
It's also harder for the parents. Different. They're like in their 40s, and they're like raising like a 7-year-old. Like, you know, like at that age, you kind of want to be.
Obviously, whenever people decide to have kids, like,
for sure, 100%. It depends on the situation.
But for me, it was always appealing to be like having a lot of kids quickly and be done quickly.
Yeah, like we have the energy, we have the age, like we can keep up with them, you know. And then like we did our job, and like it's very difficult in the moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, oh, here and there, whatever. But then like when they get older, it's just like even your sister.
Yeah.
Like all her 3 boys are so close in age.
My sister has 3 boys. They're all like a year and a half to 2 years
and
apart.
They just have each other. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. When I had my siblings, like you didn't feel alone. Every time you went to a family gathering or you went to this place, that place, like we did so many things together, and like it was just fun.
Even when parents piss you off, it's like you band together about how annoying mom and dad are being.
Not fair. We have to go to the mall for 5 hours. We just walk around like, we run away. And then but stuff like my parents would just my mom would just buy us ice cream, and then we're all happy. We forgot everything. Ever happened. But it was just nice that we're all together in age, and we're just had so many memories, and we just had each other.
And I really want that for Aaliyah. Yeah. I mean, as much as like, honestly, I do feel like we're a family already.
Yeah.
Oh, she is just so good with other kids. Like as soon as she sees other kids, she gets so happy.
Like, oh my gosh.
She says baby also to kids who are older than her.
Yeah, yesterday we were in IKEA and she saw like a baby, like a girl like on the dad's shoulder. I'm like, look, baby. She's like, baby, come, baby, come. She's like telling, like, she wanted to go to her. I'm like, no, Aaliyah's not your kid. You can't go to her. Baby, come. And they were leaving. I'm like, okay, let's take it. Bye, baby. She's like, bye, baby. Are you? Which it means I love you. She says, are you? And like it was just so cute. I'm like, I can't wait for her to become a big sister.
Which is crazy. She's my baby and she's gonna be a big sister.
And I think she'll help us along the way. I think that's also a thing. Like, on one hand, you're like, okay, I'm gonna be with 2 kids. You also have to make sure that she doesn't feel neglected, because you never want her to be like, oh, you guys have another kid, that's it, I'm not important anymore. You have to make sure. That's what Haley's mom was saying. Like, she's like, I'm coming to help you, obviously, but when Aaliyah's home, I'm going to be with her with the baby, so you guys can put your focus on Aaliyah, because you don't want her to feel left out. And you want to always make it seem like the baby's here for us. It's for, look, Aaliyah, your baby's sister, give her a hug, can you help us? Like, we got to make her feel contributed.
I also really want to get her involved. I love asking her to help, and she herself loves to help. Like, even now when I do stuff in the kitchen or whatever, I got her a little toddler stool that puts her at the counter with me, and like, she loves being up there with me. And I feel like if I ask her to like bring a diaper or bring wipes or bring a toy, bring a pacifier for the baby, like, she'll be more than happy to like run and help, you know.
For sure, 100%.
And I think it'll be really good for her. It'll be a sense of responsibility, and just the fact that like they're gonna grow up only really being a year apart, because I had Aaliyah in 2021 and I'm having this baby in 2022.
Dang.
How? Like,
how?
I mean, logically, I still think about it. I don't know how that math works, because Aaliyah's almost 2, but like...
But it's because the end of the year.
I know. I had her at the beginning of the year and this one at the end. But it's insane to me, you know?
I think our biggest fear is like, right, like you said, we right now have a routine going already. We have like a schedule. We have our work schedule.
That we literally just established.
We just established it now, and now it's gonna be like, just again, we don't know how it's gonna be, but for sure it's gonna turn over certain things. Like, we're just trying our best to have a momentum and things going on right now, so then when we do have our second child, we can navigate to the best of our ability. And the whole point of what I was saying is that before, when we were in Toronto, we had your mom close by, we had your sister, we had a lot of help in that sense. My parents live all the way in Miami Beach, so it's like a 45-minute drive from where we are here in Hollywood.
We can't expect them to drop
everything. On top of that, they have their own lives, they have their own things to do. And my siblings also, like my sister has a child, my brother has work. Like, I don't expect them to come and drop everything to help us. So I think in that sense, it might be a little bit difficult. But again, the fact that we have like Aaliyah in daycare, and like, you know, in the beginning, our daughter will just need to be, you know, changed, fed, all that stuff. It'll be a little bit challenging, but I know we will get through it. We will get through 100%. It, and then it'll just create memories. And like, I think like we're like, okay, if we can handle, that's how it is. If our train of thought is like, okay, our train of thought, let me enunciate it better. Our train of thought is, if we had Aaliyah, we can get through that. We can get through, you know, with God's help, your injury, then we can get through having a second kid. And after the second kid, we'll get a third kid.
After the first kid, like, outside of the fact that I was injured, we also just moved. So our house was not in order at all. And I told myself, I mean, Eran already knows this time around, I've been going through a crazy nesting stage. Like, every possible inch and corner of this house that could be organized and cleaned is currently being organized and cleaned. Like, I even hired somebody to literally rip out the weeds in our backyard, so that's going to be nice and done. I can go out there with baby. I'm getting somebody to come and actually shampoo our entire car top to bottom, because I just want everything to be clean and ready and like I don't know how to explain it. Kind of like, you know, when it's about to be
a fresh start,
kind of like when you're about to like enter a new year, which we are very close to entering a new year around that time.
Yeah, well, like not the Jewish New Year, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But I'm just saying, like, kind of like that mindset of like a fresh start, you know, like a nice clean blank page. That's kind of where I want to be at, and I feel like we're getting there, which is really good.
Yeah, just crazy that we're gonna be parents of 2 kids.
I know. So I think, as you guys know, with this podcast, as much as some of our conversations are really just talking about our feelings and our moods, we do want to try to provide value in every single one of our podcasts. So whether you guys are new parents, or you're about to be new parents, if you're already parents, or if you have a desire to be a parent one day, Aaron, what is like some advice that you would give someone who's kind of going through a situation of like what we're going through, maybe even experiencing the same emotions of what we're going through right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of the times that people are like scared because they're like, oh, that's it. Like, well, once I have a kid, like my life is over. I can't do certain things. I lose my freedom and everything. And that's the thing. When you become a parent, you're becoming selfless. Like all your dedication is not about you anymore. It's about your kid. You're always thinking twice. Okay, this is going to be good for Aliyah. Should we go there? Is that going to be good for her? Is that going to be good for her sleep? Like you take all those things into account because you're responsible for another human being. That is your job. The day that you decide to have a child and you become a mom and dad, you take on that responsibility. You can't be like, whatever, time to live my life, which again, you should set times for yourself.
Yes, 100%.
You know, and not just make your life your kids all the time. It's always good to have times for each other, but at the end of the day,
your brain always navigates first
it
to
always
what does my kid
navigate
need?
to your kids. It always happens. Whether we're working, we're thinking about our kids. Whether we're about to go to sleep, we're thinking about our kids.
If we're going to guest house, we only would go if like sleep-wise it would work for her, food-wise it would work for her.
Yeah, because if not, it just puts her in a bad state, and then it puts us in a bad state, and there's everybody just like running around.
Nobody's happy.
Yeah. And so I think the biggest tip is that to understand that like, yeah, your life will not be the same, but it'll not be the same for the good. Like, the amount of joy that you have from having kids, and that's it for us. It says in the Torah, you need to reproduce, you need to have kids,
fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, be fruitful and multiply, because like
there's no greater
joy than when you see like the joy from your kids, and you invest so much hard work into it, like feeding them and bathing them.
But I think
that's
exactly what it is. They always say that the things you put the most effort and love into are the things that give you the most reward. And that's the thing that I try to explain. I feel like we just live in a world right now where so many people, like, obviously to each their own, there's a lot of people who decide that they don't want to have kids, you know? But sometimes I explain to people, as much as having kids is a selfless thing, because you're always giving to your children, I feel like I get so much from Aliyah, like so much love and like so much like happiness, that I feel like it's a selfish thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sometimes it becomes a selfish thing, because like, why do you want to have a kid? Oh, because they're so cute and they're like this, and
or
they
some
can dress
people
them
even
up.
say, I want someone to take care of me when I'm older. Like,
yeah,
I'm not
like,
even thinking
that's a
like
selfish thing, but at the end of the day, like, you do it because it's you know,
circle of life,
it's
right?
Circle of life. That's what we want to do. Like, we were raised by parents, and we hope to be parents ourselves. And I've always just had the dream of like just having a big family and like having these things, being close to my kids.
Especially lately, Aaron's just like, oh, you know, I could see us having like 8 to 10 kids.
I didn't say 10 kids.
You said
Zam,
8.
You do your
okay, 6. You said 6 to 8.
I said 6. I'm like, listen, if all kids are like good and like your pregnancies are a good thing, God, and you know we could do it, like, why not? We know that we believe and we know that with each kid
there is blessing.
There's blessing. With Aliyah, we bought a house, and who knows what this next one, maybe we'll buy another house. I don't know.
I obviously feel like, especially with what we've gone through in the past, we can never set our future and like say we can obviously like say we want a big family. That's our goal, you know, and just take each year as it goes, because it could be so different.
If we have, again, ideally want 4 kids, besides some, God willing.
I know.
But if 4 are good and we're like, let's go 2 more, might as well. Maybe we get twins. You never know.
Oh my gosh, babe, can you relax? This is not your uterus.
But at that point, the kids will already be old enough that they can like
help out
and be like, oh, listen, throw out the garbage, you know.
I don't know. I just love the idea of like the fact that we were young parents in general. Oh, that's something that we really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, your pregnancy brain forgot about it.
I know, my pregnancy brain didn't forget about it.
Even after she gives birth, she's gonna blame pregnancy brain.
Guys, we got to talk about the fact that we were young parents, okay?
Yeah.
But young parents doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I mean, I don't know. These days, young parents are 16, so like you don't even know. But I'll tell you what. I feel like the fact that we were kind of like young parents, one, we had a lot more energy to deal with it. A lot
more. While people were in our age, like clubbing and partying, we were popping bottles of
literally.
We're popping bottles, like, look, you know. But
a formula.
But that's the thing, and I think also at the same time, our friends, even in our circle, were not on that stage left.
No.
Like they were not on that stage.
We
of life.
knew that we were gonna be on this train on our own.
I don't know, but then over time, people catch up. Like thank God, like my sister, we have a lot of people in our community that also have kids now. You know, so like
people are getting
we
pregnant.
are in the stage that we're like more ahead, meaning we're on our second. They're just getting on their first, but it's still a beautiful thing. And on top of that, like I don't know, it's just like being parents young. Like you have, like you said, as much energy, and then by the time you're like kind of like in your 40s. You already have grandkids,
right?
God willing, you know?
Just like we talk about getting married young, we're not establishing timelines for any of you guys. Like that's not what we're saying at all. Obviously, everyone to each their own. I'm just saying, don't let it scare you.
Don't be scared. If you want to do it,
just don't let it scare you, because I feel like you and your partner sometimes, like, growing up with your kids is so much fun, and that's what I'm learning. I feel like right now, because Aaliyah is like obviously so young, and like we kind of had her pretty young, like I feel like we're growing up with her. We're learning with her, you know? And I love it. I personally love it so much. I genuinely feel like the great thing also is that Eran and I still kind of have a mindset of like we are kids ourselves, so like we cannot wait to like take her to water parks and amusement parks and like
I love doing that
do
stuff
all this
with
kind of
her.
stuff
I love,
with
like
her.
joking around and like
throwing her
on the bed, and we make forts, and like we go to the zoo, and I'm like, wow, look at that monkey. She's like, oh, monkey, like you said,
like my dad is not gonna do that in his 40s.
Because like again, I get a lot of joy to see kids have fun, and that's what if you'll notice sometimes, like if I go to these certain things, I'll ask like, are kids coming? They're like, no. Like, so why am I going? But if their kid's gonna be there, I'm gonna play with them, because the kids, they don't have that, like there's no pressure with them. Like you
don't have to try to impress them.
No, they're like, let's go. You want to play? Sure, let's play. Go, boom, this, that. And like they have these ideas, and they have like
imagination,
I don't know,
creativity.
Like it's kind of like that thing. Like they have like as you become an adult and you get a little bit older, a lot of people have like certain grudges inside and like anger or whatever. And like, oh, I'm not talking to this person because of that or whatever. But with kids, they're so like innocent. Angry 1 second, and then they forget about it. They're like, oh, it's okay, whatever. Because kids would rather be happy than right.
Yes.
And all they care about is just, enjoying. They have dreams. Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a basketball player. And it's like, keep those dreams. Like, yeah, maybe you might not have, but keep that.
Are you a little bitter that the basketball dream didn't happen to you, my love?
No, it happens when I go to sleep. It happens.
In your dreams, literally.
Babe, you have to also come to realization. If you're like 5'7", 5'6", like there's no chance you're gonna make it to the NBA. Like I wasn't that good.
I mean, as long as you know it, my love.
Babe, I hear from me every week when you tell me you were gonna make it to the NBA.
Oh
you and my siblings. You see that thing? You have siblings and they gang up on you with your wife.
I love it. It's actually my favorite thing to go to his
to gang up on me.
No, to go to your family's house on Shabbat and to hear everybody like say stories about you and like all of you guys teasing each other. I was always like, oh, that's so fun. And as much as I didn't have it, I still had a great childhood, and like I'm very close with my sisters. I'll tell you guys what. Also, if you do have a big difference with your siblings, and you feel like you're not so close, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be, because my bond that I had with my sisters was very much like. My older sister, for example, I remember before she used to go out, she would like ask me for fashion advice and all that kind of stuff. But that was like when I was really young. As I was getting older and I was getting married and like I was already becoming a mom, I feel like that gap, like that bridge became smaller. We have a 10-year difference with me and my oldest sister, and like it doesn't feel like that at all, because she can talk to me about anything.
Similar stage of life.
Yeah, like, very, very much so. So also at the same time, if you do have a big gap with your siblings, if you are at a stage right now where you feel like your little sister is like annoying and whatever, trust me, as she gets older, she's gonna look up to you so much. And
they'll still be annoying, but
yeah,
they'll look up to you.
I'm sure I annoy the hell out of my sisters.
And that's the thing, like my siblings and I, like it was the same idea. Like we were close when we were younger. As we got older, we have friends, we have this, we kind of like disconnected a little bit, even though we still annoy the crap out of each other. Even to this day, my brother and sister still bother me. More my sister.
Slow down, Baba. Slow down.
See, I get fired up.
You get really fired up. I know.
But even till this day, like I said, like my siblings, we all annoy each other, but obviously in a friendly way. Yeah. but it all comes from love, and we always have each other's backs. We have all these memories, and like the fact that like that was one of the reasons why we moved here, is because my siblings and I were all in a very similar stage of life,
Yeah.
and we wanted to share that. Like we wanted to share.
And as much as like it's hard for me not to be away from my siblings, you never had that relationship with your siblings. So for you to now finally have it.
Once I was forming it, I already moved to Toronto.
Yeah.
So God gave us an opportunity to like repair that, to like help make up for lost time technically.
100%.
And no, I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to be an older brother, because that's the thing, you have a big responsibility when you're the oldest one in the family, and that's the responsibility that Aaliyah's gonna have, and we're gonna tell Aaliyah.
I'll never know what it was like.
She'll say, why can she do this? I'm like, because you're older, you're Aaliyah, you're the responsible. You set an example. You have to be an example for your younger sister, because she's gonna look up to you. She's gonna do what you do, and that was my siblings, where my brother did what I did.
Yeah.
And my mom, to the extent, would even dress us up in the same way. And I'm like, Mom, why do we have the same surfer shirt on? Why can't he have a different one? But she's like, because he's looking up to you.
He wants to be like you.
He wants to be like you. And that's the thing that we want our kids to have. I want our kids to have that close relationship and bounce off each other. And it could be that they're be completely different people. Yeah. But that's totally fine.
It doesn't mean that they're still not going to be besties.
No, they're still going to be besties. But at the same time, like...
Honestly, babe, if I keep thinking about it, I'm going to cry.
Why?
Just the fact that, like... Do you remember when we found out we were first having a girl? We were kind of like...
Lost.
No, we weren't disappointed, God forbid,
we just didn't know how to raise a girl, because we were surrounded by people that only had boys.
And as much as, like... It's been already a little while. Like, I'm so fulfilled by the fact that we have Aaliyah. And then when we found out we were having a second girl, I think we were just surprised, because we really, really were certain we were having a boy.
Another boy, like one and one.
I feel like at this point we got to go the opposite of our gut
instinct. We're having a girl, boy.
Yeah.
No.
But I'll tell you guys what, like, knowing that we are gonna give Aaliyah not only a sibling but a sister, like, that's like my dream.
Yeah, we'll save more money on switching clothes.
We're gonna have a lot of girls ganging up on you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be.
Dad, we're watching a rom-com.
And I'm gonna say, okay, so I'm going to watch a movie by myself.
Honestly, though, Aaliyah is like very much a thriller person like you. So.
No, Aaliyah, that's the thing. Aaliyah like loves like adrenaline, and action, and candy like me, and we're so like it's so scary.
Whoa, it is scary. She's literally your
so
twin.
scary. Like you have a kid, and like I remember something. I'll see her, and I'm like, yo, that's so me. What the hell? And it's so trippy because like.
You're seeing yourself in a child version.
In a child, and you're like, "What the heck? That's me." But like,
so
it's not.
Is it bad to say that I still don't really feel like I'm a mom, because sometimes I feel like I'm babysitting Aaliyah? Like, I don't even. No.
What do you mean babysitting Aaliyah?
No, just in the sense that she looks nothing like me, so I haven't had that experience.
But she has your personality, though.
I know she does have.
Like the personality of like being like lovey and giving kisses and touchy and huggy, whatever. That's very much you.
Her food appetites, what she loves to eat and stuff.
Like,
that's very
I don't
much
like
me too.
eating half the crap she eats, except protein. She likes protein, so like we have a very similar.
But I'll tell you what, I like wonder. Not that I really care. I don't care what our kid looks like at all, but. It's just so cool to see Aaliyah be your little twin. I'm very curious to know if this one will be my little twin.
That's right. Hopefully so. I think in the end of the day, like
she'll be very hairy if she's gonna be my twin. Let me just say that.
Both kids were hairy. We're both hairy. But I think just the fear that we have is just balancing everything out. Yeah. Balancing like our work, our Aaliyah, and our house, and like
new business ventures.
That's the thing. Like when you work for somebody or whatever, you take 1 year maternity leave. Well, that wasn't in Canada, but like you take maternity leave and then you go in and you have a 9-to-5 job. But with our job, we're constantly always on thinking about work, thinking about all this stuff. And at the same time, we're trying to give you guys, the content that you guys, that we would want you to see. Yeah. But at the same time, we always think like, all right, we're parents first. Right. Our main priority is our children. And if we get the content, we get the content. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
And that's why there's like a lot of people who ask me all the time, how do you feel like vlogging your child? Like, don't you feel like you're putting your whole life out there? Do you want people to be seeing so much of her? I feel like Eran and I are very good at establishing like a barrier between how much we show and how much we don't. Like, Aaliyah's had times where she's not feeling well. She
Like,
has
we're never
tantrums.
gonna.
Like,
We would never.
I won't put
clickbait,
her
like,
on blast. I will never use her for clickbait. I will never like do anything like that. But at the same time, like, she gives us so much joy, and she gives a lot of you guys so much joy. So like,
Yeah.
I like sharing that.
She
She also loves the camera, and she loves watching herself
all the time. She'll just be like, Aliyah, Aliyah, and then she wants to just watch herself. And
like, even if a vlog goes on and Eran and I are just vlogging and Aaliyah's not in it, she's like, no, Aaliyah.
And then she's skipping, she's watching, and she's like laughing. She's like,
yeah, she loves to watch herself.
I'm a star.
And plus, like, the amount of memories that we have for ourselves, like, there's times that Aaliyah was like so little, I don't even remember. But like, watching these videos back gives me such fulfillment, and like how fun that she'll be able to grow up and like see herself as a baby.
She'll be able to see herself like, how was I when I was raised? Like, what were my parents like when I was a kid? Like, what did they do? And then be like, here, we can show you. And then we'll be able to show her that like it's an amazing thing to have. So I feel like one of the reasons why we do it is for that reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have like you guys as followers that we're so grateful for, because that's the thing with what we do for work. It is a privilege. It's rewarding. Like, not 100%. Many people can do what we do. So we're very grateful. Like, thank God that we have that opportunity.
The fact that you guys are also interested in following along.
Like, but with that being said, it is a lot of pressure at the same time, because our main priority is parents and being a husband and a wife and being a father and mother to our kids.
And I'll tell you something that personally is like very challenging to me as a mom. Like, with this job, there's no such thing as maternity leave. No. You really have to be on all the time. And like, as much as people say, take a break, we'll wait for you, we understand, like, the way that this business works is that if you're not constantly popping up on people's feeds, like, people forget about you, you know? And it's not like I need you guys to like remember me or remember us or whatever, but if we want you to care about our life, of course we have to remain on your radar. That's kind of how it works, you know? So the fact that I haven't been able to have a break the first time around was so challenging. I feel like Eran and I are going into it this time around. First of all, we're working together, which is already amazing. Yeah, that was a
big difference. We have an editor now, thank God. We have a bit more help. We have a groove and a routine of like both of us at the same time. That was the biggest thing. I feel like before, when it came to the work, I was focused on my thing and you were focused on your thing, but it kind of left you hanging
for sure
and drowning with all this stuff, so it became very overwhelming. You couldn't provide more. But now
we're gonna balance it out. And on top of that, I want you guys to know that this time around we're gonna be very present, because I feel like we can. I feel like we have a good flow.
We also have the help, thank God.
We will. But I want to film like my entire like newborn experience. I want you guys to see the good parts about it and the messy parts about it, because there's for sure going to be some messy parts. It's, as much as it's a beautiful thing to like bring kids into the world, it's challenging. It's hard. It tests a relationship so much, and we really want to be able to share that with you once this baby comes into this world.
Like, are we going to post it for like not in a good way? We're going to be like rude to each other? No, because that's something between us. That's something private.
Right.
But we will show like
the struggles.
Like the struggle. Like, you'll see that we'll be sleep deprived and we'll be tired. We'll have bags under our eyes and our sentence won't be fully coming out. But we're showing it because to show you like, yes, it's difficult.
Yes.
But we're fine. We survived, and we're so grateful that we went through that, because all those challenges that we had with Aaliyah and that we will have with our next daughter, they were like bumps, but like rewarding, that we remember, and we're so grateful for, like, because we invested so much time. Once you pass those
bumps, like
you're like, remember when we didn't sleep? Wow, thank God she's sleeping now.
Yeah.
You know, like all these things, like that's how it is with everything. In a relationship, in your work, in your business, it becomes your baby, and you invest so much time, and it's not just like going smooth sailing. It's like this, but all those experiences shape you to be who you are,
and makes you stronger as a couple, as parents,
and
as
like
everything, as individuals too. And you know what? That's kind of like where I want to end off on this podcast. Whether you guys are someone who's just like listening to this on audio or video, if you're subscribed to the channel or not, we also have a mindset right now that we want to start posting a lot of really raw vlogs. I think the last time I was in such a rush to get back to my regular content of doing fashion and thrifting and all these things. And as much as I could still like do those stuff, my priority is going to be just sharing with you guys what my life is currently looking like. Yeah. So we're going to show you.
And it will include fashion, thrifting, all that stuff. But this is just a stage that we are right now. You know, this is what's going on. It's also very difficult to like do thrifting content. We just have a baby.
Not even that. I'm not going to have a desire. So if you guys are interested in actually following along our pregnancy journey, hopefully maybe this time we'll get a nice labor vlog. Like we'll see how it goes.
We'll see
obviously
whatever God has planned for us,
unless I give birth on Shabbat again. But I'll tell you guys what, I think it will be a really great experience, and we'd love to have you guys along for the journey. So if you guys are watching up to this point, we love you guys, especially the ones who stay all the way till the end. You guys are especially our favorites and our MVPs. If you are watching up to this point, comment down below little sis, because we are very, very anxious. Me and Eran, Aliyah, we already know that we're so excited for her. And let us know down below what other topics you guys want us to talk about. We're going to try to batch some of these podcasts. We have a really, really fun idea for next week. So stay tuned.
Yes, very good idea. Should we give them a sneak peek?
No.
No?
They got to just stick around.
You got to stick around. Next week
probably it'll be a very funny podcast for sure. But whether you guys are listening here on Spotify or Apple, please be sure to rate. Let us know how you guys are liking these podcasts. Leave your reviews as well.
If you're watching on YouTube, of course.
Yes. We love you guys so much. Thank you for coming along with us and actually enjoying these conversations, because they're very therapeutic for Eran and I.
Yes, and hopefully next week Haley will not be in labor so we can do the podcast.
We're going to have to start saying that every week now.
If you guys don't see us next week, it's because we're in labor.
Yeah, exactly. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we can't wait to see you or hear you, or you'll hear us in the next one.
Take care, guys. Love y'all.